If you are tuning in to one of my um, webinars for the first time, I want to say thanks. Whether you're watching this live or as a recording, I'm glad you're going to be here to take in this information. I offer regular webinars, education segments, whatever you wish to call them, and they're always designed with a lot of intention to bring you useful, sustainable pieces of information that you can use in your day-to-day life. I love teaching. Eventually, I know we're moving in the right direction now. Hopefully, we will be able to be together in the same physical space so that you can not only learn from a listening point of view, but you can also experience the oils alongside me. I can't wait to get back to that type of teaching. But in the meantime, webinars are certainly a great place to learn. I hope you know that you can tune into any of these at any time. So if you're watching this live on Facebook, just know that you can visit my website, which is www.leotree.com/events. And that will take you to all of the classes that I offer. Some are very structured and some of them are much more casual, like the one we're about to have right now. I want to share with you some information on what I feel is a very, very important topic. It's become even more relevant in my life just this past week, and that is the topic of mental wellness. Now, doTERRA is probably already part of your life. Many times, those of you who are watching these webinars are people who are already experiencing the oils, and maybe you've been doing so just for a short time, maybe for a long time, but chances are you're not completely familiar with all of the categories that doTERRA has to offer you. And I hope I can expose the one that I feel is truly important for every family to take a second look at and really integrate into their daily routines. We're going to talk about a category of products called Adaptiv. Now, Adaptiv on the bottle, Essential Calming Blend, I think is what it's referred to. Adaptiv is part of a 3-piece collection. So we have Adaptiv Essential Oil Blend. So that's a composition of 8 individual ingredients that come together based on their chemical profile. They've been studied and researched, and based on the discoveries there, this blend has been created to be very supportive of allowing for a calming, peaceful environment. I always refer to this one as the mental wellness blend because this is the arena that it continuously shows up in. So if you're someone who, and there's not one of you that can't answer like yes to this, if you're someone who experiences moments of stress, you know, maybe it is 1 or 2 stressful moments that really register with you, or perhaps you're in a very stressful point in your life right now. I want you to know about this because while no one thing is the solution, I know that there are many layers of support out there that you can tap into, and it's a pleasure for me to be able to share this one with you because I love, this is the thing with oils, is I love sharing them because they're so easy to use. They're accessible and they're affordable. Basically, if you can breathe, you can access the benefits of this essential oil blend. So I mentioned that it was part of a collection, a 3-part collection. So as I mentioned, we have the oil in the Adaptiv 3-part series. We also have a roller bottle. So you might be familiar with roller bottles. Perhaps you're using them already. And they're really ideal for topical application. So if you're someone who likes to wear your essential oil, or you're someone who just really enjoys the process of applying it and absorbing it through the skin, then the roller blend is definitely something that you'll enjoy. And this one is really portable. I typically keep the Adaptiv roller blend in my purse at all times. So if you see me over the next little while and you want to try it, just ask me if I can take it out of my purse, and the answer is always going to be yes. What I recommend with this one is that you are applying it to the pulse point. So specifically to the wrist and to this area of the neck. I'm going to suggest those 2 areas to you because as it is absorbed in this area of the body, it is being accessed most quickly to the brain. when you apply it to the wrist area, that pulse point area is being quickly accessed to the heart. So do keep that in mind. The other nice thing about applying it to the wrist, of course, is that you get to experience it aromatically as much as you do topically, because it is so easy to access. When you've applied it to your wrist, you always have that opportunity to enjoy it throughout the day. Keep in mind, your body will digest anything you put in, on, or around it, right? So using an essential oil topically, you have to remember that that is true in that situation as well. So in about 3 hours, probably max, that's about my max, after I've applied an essential oil topically, I'm not really able to smell it any longer. So if you're using the oil as therapy, please keep in mind that reapplication is going to be important. The same is true, and I kind of skipped over the usage with the 15 ml blend. This one isn't exclusively meant for a diffuser, but it's ideally meant for a diffuser. So a couple drops in your diffuser is going to allow for everyone in the vicinity of that diffuser to enjoy the benefits, the very calming benefits that Adaptiv has to offer. Like I said before, extremely supportive of reducing the symptoms of stress. And stress is a root cause of so many issues. So if you're experiencing digestive issues, or if you're experiencing chronic headaches, or you're experiencing any list of ailments right now, if you really had to boil it down to what the root cause was, my guess is that stress is a large part of the reason why you're experiencing that. So this offering today really gets to the root of the issue. So don't put it off in giving it a try. If you own Adaptiv already, put it into use right away. There isn't a single person that doesn't experience stressful moments throughout the course of the day. In fact, there was a study done, I don't know how old it is now, but it is suggested that the average person is experiencing 50 stressful events over the course of the day. You guys, that is huge. So your body doesn't know how to decipher between good and bad stress. It just responds to stress in general. So keep in mind, every time, this is how we're wired, every time we are stressed, we release hormones, we release cortisol in the body. And cortisol it's not a bad thing. It's designed to protect us. But when it's constantly being released, so it's being released frequently and over a prolonged period of time, it starts to have a negative effect on us. And you know, it's important that we recognize that originally as our fight or flight response, but in today's day and age, with all of the stressors and agitation around us in our environment, there's a lot more opportunity for us to be experiencing more than the average, which is 50 stressful events in a day. So wherever there's an opportunity for you to help support the symptoms, the outcome of stress, I want to make sure you feel empowered to know what that is. So using your oils in a diffuser, obviously a great idea. Putting a drop in the palm of your hand and doing that, you've heard me talk before about scent tenting, just a drop in the palm of the hand and then cupping it over your face and breathing it in. That is one of the most magnificent things that you can do for yourself. And if you can take, I don't know, a handful, maybe 5 times a day, if you can start there, 5 times a day, just a 1-minute break where you pause and you just simply breathe in those very calming, peace-inducing aromas of Adaptiv, you will be doing your mental health and your physical health such a service. The third product in the Adaptiv collection it's actually a supplement. So maybe you have or have not heard of it just yet. I'm pleased to talk about it regardless of where you're at with your knowledge of doTERRA. I really recommend that, you know, if you're a supplementer, for sure you're going to want to lean on this. If you're not somebody who typically thinks about taking your oils internally, then maybe you're going to need to consider where this fits into your life, but I would recommend giving it a try at some point. So Adaptiv supplements are a combination of ingredients. I'm going to just very quickly go through what's in it so that you can feel good about whether or not you decide to take it. Okay. The one great thing about doTERRA, I shouldn't say the one great thing, one of the many great things about doTERRA is that they're very transparent with information. So if you really need to get in there and see what the supplemental information is, you can absolutely do that. And if you don't know where to look, you're going to ask me, and I'm going to make sure that you get that information. Okay. And if you like to seek the support of some of your holistic practitioners in knowing whether this is a good choice for you, do that. Bring it along with you at your next visit to a naturopath, or, you know, anyone that you seek your health advice from. Let them take a good look at it, because I think they will agree that the benefits are tremendous within this supplement. So let me run through them for you really quickly, and then I'm going to talk about how you use it, because it's really quite simple. Now, keep in mind, many of these ingredients have been clinically researched on their own, like as individual ingredients. And then this supplement in and of itself is being studied and researched extensively. So there is a lot of information currently available, and more coming all the time as we begin to learn the impact that the doTERRA adaptive supplements have on our mental and our physical well-being. First of all, I want to suggest to you right away that it is notorious for calming the central nervous system down. Here's how it does that. First ingredient in it is lavender, which a lot of you guys are familiar with. We sort of recognize lavender as being the key support for our central nervous system, and this is no different. So as part of the combination, it helps support serotonin in the brain as well. And as we learn about lavender, that little piece is not often something we've talked about, but as it relates to this doTERRA supplement, it's really important that you know that it helps to regulate serotonin in the brain. Coriander. Coriander, if you're familiar with herbs, I know I've had some people ask me before, isn't coriander the same as cilantro? The answer is yes and no. It's part of cilantro. It's the seed of the cilantro plant. So it's the same but different. They have like a different chemical composition. So this is pretty fascinating to me. And I keep looking at my notes. I apologize. I usually talk right off the cuff, but I really don't want to miss sharing any of this important information with you, because it's so relevant, to our everyday, but specifically right now, I'm noticing a lot of agitation in our environment, a lot of agitation, even amongst friends. If you participate in social media, there's just so much going on right now. It can really ramp up stress levels. And I mentioned before, stress is the root of so many other issues. I just felt like this was super important for us to discuss today. So I'm using a few key points here so that I don't forget to share with you. Coriander helps to balance gut microflora. So why is this important? This is important because there is a really keen relationship between the mind and the gut. In fact, all of our health really originates in the gut. Keep that in mind. So coriander seed helps regulate microflora in the gut. This improves focus, it improves our impulse control, and it improves our clarity of thinking. So think about those moments when you're feeling very stressed or even mildly stressed. We can all experience this at varying levels of stress, where you feel like you can't make a solid decision, like you've got that brain fog and you can't quite figure it out, and you know it's not the right time to make any real important decisions because you're feeling so stressed that the focus, that clarity just isn't there. Coriander seed, as part of the adaptive supplements, is supportive of that microflora in the gut, which is then supportive of that clarity in the brain. Okay. Wild orange. Oh boy, wild orange. This to me is a game changer as it relates to mood, and its incorporation into this adaptive supplement I find is very powerful. So it is extremely high in a constituent called limonene. So if you're a science-minded person and you've ever researched limonene, you know that it has a tremendous effect on the body. It has a very powerful, as I mentioned before, effect on mood. You just simply can't take the lid off of a bottle of wild orange and not feel just the slightest bit happier. Okay. It also helps to lower cortisol in the body, which we mentioned before is released when we are experiencing a stressful moment, and it helps to increase serotonin. Okay, that's that good hormone, which also 90% of that happens to be released in the gut. Fennel is the next ingredient. Notice that the absolute natural qualities to this supplement already. Do you know what this means for all of us? It means that we can rely on a natural health option that does not give us side effects and that does not create any concern for us in creating an addictive experience with the product. So no side effects and no risk of addiction. Powerful stuff. Fennel is high in polyphenols, and polyphenols are highly antioxidant, and this actually helps to reduce the biological effect that stress can have on both the body and the brain. When we're stressed, it can do a lot of, you guys know this, I mean, when you're stressed, it can do a lot of negative things. And because of that fight or flight response, what ends up happening is your body is just so intuitive and it does what it needs to do to survive. We continuously evolve, but we're hardwired this way. When there is a stressful moment and fight or flight kicks in, the body will shut down systems that are not required in that moment to survive. So you are shutting down the gastrointestinal tract. You are shutting down the reproductive tract, for example. And like I said, this occurs during that fight or flight response. That over the long term and with any level of frequency is going to have like a biological effect on the body. This is where the fennel, which is high in the polyphenols, is so powerful because as an antioxidant, it helps to support the body's recovery after that stressful episode. The next ingredient is something called ahi flower seed. Not something that we carry in doTERRA as an individual product, but certainly something that is necessary and highly effective in this combo of adaptive supplements. So it is a super omega, which helps support the brain because the brain is actually 80% fat. So it needs fat to survive. So this ahi flower is what represents the nutrition basically for feeding the brain and offering it what it needs to be in a healthy state. It also offers the brain an opportunity to regulate healthy inflammation in the brain and in the body. But give this some consideration just for a moment. If the brain is inflamed and we are experiencing these constant stressful moments, part of the distraction in our healing process is the fact that we are in fact inflamed. We know that inflammation is the root of illness and disease. So if we can support the healthy inflammatory response, then we've literally removed one of the distractions that are responsible for helping us heal the brain and the body. I hope that makes sense. It's also great for helping the body restore its serotonin. And I'm just going to mention here, I put a little note here because I've mentioned some hormones. I've mentioned serotonin, cortisol, there's also norepinephrine, and these are all very they're hormones that can create a very excited response in the body. And I want you to know that the essential oils themselves are not the hormone. They don't cause an increase in any one of them or a decrease in any one of them. What they do is support a regulation in our bodies. It literally, the essential oils are allowing us the space to regulate our own body systems. So it's very adaptogenic. If you are someone who perhaps you are not exceedingly stressed, maybe you're just going through a stressful period, using the adaptive supplements in those moments where it's needed, it will act in a very adaptogenic way. It will work with what you need in that moment. So for example, I feel like I'm a very good example of this. On a typical day-to-day basis, I don't experience a need for the adaptive supplements. However, in those moments where I know I'm going to travel, whether it be travel any distance by car or travel any distance in a plane, certainly, I have elevated levels of stress and anxiety. I feel like that doTERRA adaptive supplement is very adaptogenic to where I'm at in those moments. It offers what I need in those moments. Let's talk about GABA, which is part of this supplements combination. GABA is an amino acid in the brain. So it is our primary neurotransmitter inhibitor. So what it does is, remember those excitable neurotransmitters that I talked about before, like the serotonin and the norepinephrine and cortisol. What it does is GABA goes to those and it binds itself to those neurotransmitters and has a calming effect on them, therefore allowing you to find that, that sensation of peace and comfort. GABA also modulates mood and helps to control stress and allows your body to rest, heal, relax, sleep. Okay. The next and the last ingredient that I'm going to share with you in this adaptive supplement is something called Scaledium, which is an extract from a succulent plant that's found in Southern Africa called Zembrin. And it was traditionally used whenever stressful moments were imminent. So to prepare mentally for a stressful situation, this was used internally to help prepare in those situations, which I find that so cool that this is now being integrated into this capsule, because think about that. Think about the lineage of that particular ingredient. It's truly fascinating. It's been studied independently. So Scaledium itself has been studied independently. Lots of clinical studies done on this, clinical trials, human clinical trials, I may add. And its primary constituent is an alkaloid known to support serotonin in the brain. So it is also known for its ability to help calm the central nervous system down. So that, I know that this is not super scientific, but I hope it touches on each of the ingredients and allows you some perspective on what's included in these adaptive capsules. Just knowing a little bit about each of the individual ingredients, in my opinion, gives me confidence in knowing we're talking about a genuinely natural product that has been studied, that has been clinically researched, that is continuously being clinically researched, and that I can add into my daily routine because it adapts to what I need it to do. It doesn't cause side effects and it will not cause addiction. Here's how you use the adaptive supplements. You would take one, even the bottle indicates this, you would take one as needed. So the bottle suggests one a day. So what I would love for you to think about is, when during the day would that be most suitable to you? You are unique, so this experience of using these supplements should in fact be as unique as you are. Think about those moments throughout the day where you would really benefit from this adaptogenic, calming quality of the adaptive supplements. Perhaps you head to work. Perhaps you're in a 9-to-5 kind of routine, and right before work might be the ideal time for you to take your daily supplement. Perhaps your day looks a little bit different. Perhaps the return home when, dinner needs to be served and the kids need to go places and all that kind of thing. Perhaps that is the best time for you to take your daily dose of adaptive. And I say daily, it doesn't need to be daily. Again, it's unique to you. It's in those moments where it's needed. Here is another way, some other ways that adaptive can be used. I mentioned before, using myself as the example, my most stressful times come in preparation for travel. I love to travel, and I feel like this is one of those classic examples where the body doesn't understand the excitement slash stress. It just responds in the exact same way. That is most definitely when I lean on adaptive. And I've had many examples. This was released in September. Um, it was released actually when I was in Salt Lake City. So I had nervous feelings traveling home. So of course I'm going to give this a try first off, right? Great experience, but thought, okay, that could have been a fluke. So I've tried it many times since then, because before COVID hit, I was probably doing more traveling than I had really ever done before. So I have leaned on adaptive pretty extensively and have always had a very positive result from it. What I can describe to you is this: I take it about an hour before I know it'll be necessary. So that's unique to me. And I'm just offering you that example so that you can sort of, benchmark it against what you might choose to do for yourself. But I would do it an hour before I would know it was really needed. Because a lot of times you'll know that about yourself, right? And what I would notice in terms of the outcome was that I felt very calm and very peaceful, but I felt incredibly sharp and clear. So that was a true phenomenon to me, because when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling by yourself, you do want to feel calm and relaxed. And in previous times, I would have relied on something that did that, but had that harmful effect of creating that very foggy brain, and clarity was just right out the window. I'm so thankful to have something that gives me the peace and the calm, but offers me that sharp sense of awareness as well. So try this for yourself when you can anticipate you're going to be in a stressful situation. Jet lag. I've mentioned before how it's wonderful for taking you through those brain fog kind of moments. Jet lag is a great example of that, but you might have lots of other examples of when you have that foggy feeling. Maybe you've had a very heavy week at work, or maybe there's a lot of decisions in your life that are happening right now, or maybe you've experienced significant loss and cannot bring yourself through what feels like a tunnel or a cloud. I want to suggest that adaptive could be the layer of support that works quite well for you. It's also great for people who are struggling with sleep situations. And there's a whole host of sleep situations. I'm not going to get into those right now, but I want to let you know that adaptive is quite supportive for allowing that clarity of mind, creating that peaceful environment. And that almost always leads you to a place where you can sleep much better, right? Because you've had that opportunity to digest your experiences and your thoughts. I want to mention also, this was shared with me as almost as a testimonial, and I thought I'd pass it on, because adaptive supplements have been used in many situations where people are recovering from addictions to smoking, drinking, drugs, whatever the case may be, because it allows for that that peaceful feeling, that peaceful sensation. Many times people lean on whatever it is they're addicted to as a result of heightened stress. So if we can control the root, the stress, then perhaps we can be supportive in the recovery through addictions as well. So that's a really key point to be able to pass on to you. I mentioned before how to use it. It's a single capsule. It is, everyone is individual, though. Please keep that in mind. So if you want to have a conversation about how it would best work for you, I would need to better understand what you're working through, what your situation looks like, what else you might be using alongside it. And together we can work out something that would be beneficial for you to give a try. So I want to thank you. I'll remind you again, there's 3 products in that adaptive assortment. There's the aromatic adaptive. That would be great in a diffuser or used for scent tenting or whatever the case may be. There's also your roller blend, which is beautiful for the topical application and brilliant for having very portable in a purse. Or I know with my kids, this would be the number one way I would be able to support them in stressful situations. And I would simply, like I said, I would teach them how to use it on the pulse points, or I'd have them roll it on the bottoms of their feet. There's lots of different ways that you can take advantage of using essential oils topically and having it absorb through the body, through the skin. And then last but not least, the product that we spent the most time on today would be the adaptive supplements. I want to share more about this product collection with you. So if you are in a position where you would like to talk more about adaptive, reach out to me and let me know when we can spend a little bit of time together. I can supply you with the supplemental information. I can also work with you in terms of creating a protocol that would work best for you, and just generally walking you through any of the questions that you might have. So I want to thank you all for being here and giving this a good listen. Mental wellness, your wellness in general, is very important to me. I do take it as a sincere privilege to be able to share what I know about doTERRA products, because they're so easy to use. They can be trusted in a way where, you know, a lot of other products, most other products cannot. So passing this kind of information on is truly a privilege to me. This has been part of a continuing education series that I run every Thursday at 2 p.m. And we typically have 8 modules that we work through, and each week we focus on a different area of our overall health. Well, this one wasn't naturally built into our 8 modules. I felt like it was very important to share, and I will probably circle back to this a few other times, because I feel like we are in a space where this discussion is much needed. But like I said, join me for future continuing education classes. Book some time with me if you want to speak more on an individual basis, or just reach out and ask to be plugged in into some of the information so that you can do your own due diligence, okay? If you're watching on Facebook Live, I want to say thank you. I can't see the participants on Facebook. I thank those of you who are on Zoom, and I look forward to seeing everybody again in the near future. Until then, take really good care of yourselves. Stay happy and healthy.